So I've just platinumed Spider-Man Miles Morales on PS5, and this is my review of that game. If you wanted to check out my series of Miles Morales, there is a link up there for you. And if you enjoyed content, feel free to leave a like on the video and subscribe to my channel. There is a subscribe button just down there if you wanted to click on that to subscribe to my channel. Before we start, there will be spoilers in this review. I want to talk about how I would change the game. It sounds a bit harsh, but to do that I'm going to need to talk about what happens in the game. So if you don't want to hear any spoilers, don't go any further in this video. So for a bit of context, I have platinumed Spider-Man Miles Morales. I did it today. I've also platinumed Spider-Man on PS4. I did that a few years ago, and what I remember from that game is it being quite good. So I may compare a bit from Spider-Man PS4 to this game, game being a bit more fresh in my mind. To platinum this game, you have to complete the game on the first playthrough, and you have to complete the game on New Game Plus as well. So on the first playthrough, I played it sort of the day one release as it came out from day one, and then I updated it and played the New Game Plus playthrough. I played on the updated version. So the positives that I thought in the game, I thought the loading times were very good. I know that's partly down to the new PS5, but I thought the loading times were very good, the graphics was great, voice acting was very good, and I thought the ending was actually pretty good of the game. Loading times, like I said, I thought the yes, it's mainly to do with the PS5's SSD, but nevertheless the loading times in the game were very good for a game that's got very good graphics. I can mention extremely good graphics. I was surprised. I saw no rendering anywhere in the game, no bad textures at all. The game looked really good from the start to the end. There was a few bugs in the game, but mainly the graphics were phenomenal throughout the whole game. Voice acting, like I said again, was very good. You get emotion from voice acting, good voice acting. If you have bad voice acting, you won't get the emotions from the characters. And this game had really good voice acting. The emotions on the faces of the characters was very good as well. Like I said, I thought the ending was very good as well. It's probably the best part of the game. Also, because I did most of the trophies. I got most of the trophies on the first playthrough, so when I played the New Game Plus, I actually did it very quickly in about 4 hours. And even at the ending in the New Game Plus, I even got a bit emotional, felt some emotions from the ending of the game in New Game Plus. So the ending for me was very good. There was things that I would have changed throughout the games which probably would have changed the ending, but the ending for me was probably the best part in this game. The negatives I've got about the game then, it was way too short. It's only 20 hours really. I platinumed the game between 18 and 20 hours. Like I said, the main story was only about 4 hours long. I completed that in New Game Plus. Also, lack of a boss, but that ties into it being too short. The bugs were a massive negative, combat was a negative, and the price finally. So going to too short and thought of the lack of a boss. So the boss in this game is one of our best friends, a girl called Finn Mason, who we don't really have time to bond with. If you have your friend as a boss, you need to be able to bond with her in the game, so that when she turns into the boss, you care about her, you want her, you don't want to defeat her, you want to turn her back and make her your friend again, sort of thing. You don't want to kill her because she's your friend, but because the game was so short, we literally only had a 1 minute segment at the start without any script. There was no talking involved. It was just a montage with backing music of us having a good time at Christmas dinner, and that was all the bonding we got, which wasn't enough to make me feel emotionally attached to her as a friend, because we play as Miles Morales, we need to be attached to Miles, which I think we were, but we need to be attached to everyone else. And having a best friend as the boss, as the final boss, I just didn't feel attached to her at all. So you hear me talk in my gameplay saying, I don't really care about her. I don't care that she's the boss. I just want to get rid of her and kill her. Really, I don't want to turn her back. I'm not bothered about her being the boss, which isn't a good thing. There is another person called Simon Krieger, who's the person that's in charge of Roxxon. I thought he would have been a much better boss. It's much easier to make a person that nobody likes a boss rather than someone you're supposed to like and turn them into a boss. Especially in such a short game. It'd been much easier to turn Simon Krieger into the boss, and I thought it would have played better. I think it would have been better over the long term. Bugs in the game. So before the update, I only played with the update for the last New Game Plus for about 4 hours, and there wasn't any bugs in that, but the bugs seemed to get worse as I progressed through the game. They just got worse and worse. I had so when doing the Venom dash, I got stuck in a wall. It chucked me out of a building and out of the map. I just fell. It froze twice doing that move, and when I just replayed the first mission where you'd ride Rhino through the mall, it just completely crashed. The bugs just got worse and worse and worse the further I played into the game. So that was it's not good for a game that's only 20 hours long and on release cost about £70, which is about $80. That's not good enough. If you're paying 70 quid on day one for a game you expect to be polished with no bugs. Last one, combat. I think the combat lacked imagination. There was the basics of it was very basic. So it was just punch, launch him into the air, punch, punch, kick, kick, and that was it. For me, I've checked, and Spider-Man PS4 looks similar. But when I thought about it, when I was first thinking about it, Spider-Man PS4 felt different. It felt really good. The combat felt really good. And I don't know why, because when I've gone back and looked, it looks similar. So I don't know why Spider-Man Miles Morales it felt so basic. The other problem as well is you get two finishers. So you have the normal finisher, which is like triangle and circle. I think you press that to go and you do a finishing move. But you also had the Venom attacks, and both of them you build up both of them. The finisher by getting combos, a combo of 15, and the Venom attacks just by punching. And it just felt that you had limited basic attacks and then loads of finishers. You had like 5 different Venom attacks and you had your finisher. I think they just went too far with it. Why have 2 finishers and basic combat? I'd have preferred more basic combat and then the Venom attacks if they didn't want. I just didn't see the point in 2 different types of finishers. It just felt like you were spamming square and just attacking to get your finishers. It just didn't feel right. The last negative again was price of the game. Like I said, for 70 quid, I picked this game up for £45, and that's still too much for this game on a day one release. The bugs got so bad that I stopped playing the game until I had updated the game. And for £45 or £70 on release day, that's way too much. I would say about 20 quid for this game would probably be about fair. Something to consider as well I wanted to mention. I wasn't a fan of this game. It's not because of Miles Morales. For me personally, I prefer Peter Parker than Miles Morales. I just prefer him. I suppose because we've grown up having Peter and now they've gone for Miles Morales. There's no problem with that. But to counter that, I am emotionally attached more to Miles than I am Peter. Miles Morales, we actually played as Miles Morales in Spider-Man PS4. We watched his dad die. I'm more emotionally attached to Miles than I am to Peter. I was more engaged with Miles losing his dad than I was Peter losing Uncle Ben, and I prefer Rio Morales, I believe her name is, Miles' mum. I prefer her over Aunt May. So it's not about I prefer Peter and that's why I don't like this game because it's Miles Morales. I actually am more emotionally attached to Miles than I am Peter, and I like Miles as a character. It's not to do with that why I don't like this game. So we'll get on to what I would have changed. I would have changed the start in this game. The point that I've made is, I've said if this is Miles' legacy, you only get the chance to start a legacy once. You only get a chance to start it once, and I think they've missed the mark on the start of his legacy. What I would have done, the starting mission, you're with Peter and I can't remember who it is, but the police are transporting Rhino and loads of criminals. And transporting Rhino by aircraft, and he's like underslung of the aircraft in like a container, and the wires start to break. Miles goes and tries to help. Peter tells him not to, and the wires end up snapping, and because of Miles, the aircraft crashes and Rhino's container opens. In the end though, Miles beats Rhino, and he gets captured and taken by Roxxon eventually. What I would have done is lose to Rhino. I would have made it Miles' fault that Rhino escaped and all these prisoners escaped, and I would have made it so that like there was news things going against Miles, saying it was Miles' fault. Peter could have been there, like he did at the end of that mission. He apologised to Peter. Peter said, "Don't worry, it's fine." That could have still happened. I'd have had it as Miles' mistake. What I would have done is, at the start of the game, the whole of Harlem is against you as Spider-Man. They've already got a Spider-Man, they don't need another one. They like Peter, they don't like you. And by the end of it, you win them around. That's how I would have played this. But it felt like they were like, you're right, but we still have our Spider-Man. You're good, we still like you, but we prefer Peter. But yeah, like I said, I preferred if they had gone, we don't like you. You're the reason Rhino escaped. You're the reason why loads of prisoners are around Harlem. We don't like you. You could have still had Peter go away like he did with the Bugle, and have Miles in that week turn them all around. The second mission was the bridge mission. So you go there to try and stop the Underground stealing the new form, and the bridge gets destroyed. And in the end, the Roxxon guards are pointing their weapons at you, and all the general public that you've saved, they're all like, "God, don't hurt him, he saved us, what are you doing?" Where I would have got rid of the Roxxon guards and just had the public, a bit like the movie Hancock with Will Smith, where he stops the train by just budging into it, and the whole train gets derailed, and everyone's around him going, "Why didn't you just pick up the car? Why didn't you just do this? You could have done this." That's a moment that I would have had there. I would have had them all the civilians on the bridge saying, "You've destroyed the bridge, why did you do this? What, you're like, we don't like you, get out of our city. You let Rhino escape, you let all these prisoners escape, now you've destroyed the bridge. Like, what are you doing here?" That's what I would have done. And then at the end of the game, like win them around. There's a moment at the start where you've just got off the subway, and there's like a mural. Someone's painting a mural to Spider-Man, to Peter Parker. And Miles asks him, are you going to save room for the new Spider-Man? And he's like, "Oh, I don't know." What I would have had is him saying no. Like, why would I have him? And have them already a bit unsure about him. And then he lets Rhino escape. All the prisoners escape. He blows up the bridge. Everyone hates him. And then at the end when you defeat the final boss and you save Harlem, there's a moment where there's a guy that is doing an interview, and he says, "That's our Spider-Man," as if it's Harlem's Spider-Man. I'd have made that the same guy's doing the mural, so he's gone from not really liking him, going, "No, why am I going to have that new Spider-Man on this wall?" to then saying, "He's our Spider-Man." And then maybe you could go in that same neighborhood, the same, like, end it as you started it, and he walks out the subway, and then he sees a mural just with him there. I think that would have been much more powerful than it was, especially if you've got a short story. I think that would have worked so much better, being as someone like a no one to being Spider-Man. We wanted that progression. I said it in the start of my at the start of my series. I said it's a shame that he's been Spider-Man for a year now. We didn't get that him like learning the ropes of being Spider-Man, and I thought this game was going to be it, and it sadly wasn't. So all in all, I thought the game could have been a lot better. There was a lot of areas that can improve on, and I gave it a rating of 4 out of 10. Personally, that's my rating on this game. The reason why I gave it such a low score is because I thought this game, even though it's only 20 hours long, from starting the game to platinum the game was only 20 hours, and the main story was 4 hours. I thought this game had lots of potential, and it could have been really, really good. and it's so frustrating that they miss the mark on this game. Like, this is Miles' story and it's not started great. That's my problem with it, and that's why I gave it a 4 out of 10. I hope you've liked this review. If you have, feel free to leave a like on the video and subscribe. There's a button just down there, and I'll see you on a new series coming soon.